Okay, welcome and thank you for joining this session. So my name is Adriana Diaz. I'm an innovation manager and I am a part of the innovation team of EIT Urban Mobility, and I'm here with my colleague Albert Soler.
Yeah, good morning, everyone. I'm an innovation officer as well.
Okay, thanks very much. So if we can start by recapping on the session. As you know, we have been providing a series of sessions to guide those people that are interested in applying to our call for innovation proposals of 2024. This is the last one, and what we're going to cover is the different, let's say, doubts, issues, questions that you may have for preparing a successful proposal. I will recap very briefly the main features of our innovation call. So the call was launched on 6 April, and it will close on 7 June at 5 p.m. Central European time. The evaluation process consists of 2 stages, an external evaluation followed by a panel hearing. We expect to communicate the results between October and November this year. In total, we have 8 million euros of EIT funding available going to the different challenge areas covered, which includes 1 million for the Regional Innovation Scheme. The project length will be up to 12 months, and we expect all projects to start on 1st January 2024. If you have any questions that have to do with administrative steps, there is a pmo@eiturbanmobility.eu email. And for more general or topic-related questions, please use the innovation call 2024@eiturbanmobility.eu. For those who have not been in previous sessions, the scope of the call this year is for 3 challenge areas, which are sustainable city logistics, mobility and energy, and future mobility. So let's get to the writing proposals. Why do we believe that is important to deliver this session? Well, what we have encountered in the past is that perhaps there is some confusion or misunderstanding in the type of information that we expect to see and that an external evaluator expects to see when reviewing a proposal for the innovation program. Key elements need to be there. Those that contribute to an effective proposal, we want to provide those to you. We will show you how to present information in a convincing and consistent manner. We will show you how to create links across different key sections of the applications. And we want you to start thinking like an evaluator when you write your proposal. So be aware of the key elements that the evaluators are going to be looking for. We're not going to go through each of the sections in the Plaza portal because there is a different session that happened just before this one. So please, for those who could not attend, try and check the recording that will be available in the next few days. But we will go through the general parts of the proposal, so how you should try and describe the partners in the consortium, the work plan, the deliverables, the demonstrations of pilots, which are like the living labs in cities, our KPIs, the commercial strategy, the FSM, financial sustainability mechanisms, the risk management section, and the budget. So I think we can go ahead by also keeping in mind on the main elements of a proposal. Please, all applicants, remember that you should be fully registered in both the EU participant portal, which means you need to have a PIC number, a PIC number, and in the Plaza submission tool. Around the consortium composition, you need 3 independent entities from 2 different countries from the EU or third countries associated to Horizon Europe. A minimum of 1 SME and 1 commercialization partner that should be identified. For demos, for demonstrations, a minimum of 2 cities, and with the when we talk about cities, the definition includes either a city, municipal government, or an entity with a direct link to the city and the municipal government, or a private company that has an existing concession. Entities from Switzerland and the UK are eligible, but will not receive EIT funding. The minimum co-funding rate for the innovation program is 33% across the project. And the partners can define the way that this co-funding rate is distributed across the consortium. Risk applicants have a minimum individual co-funding rate of 20%. KPIs. All proposals must identify and address the minimum mandatory KPIs, which are 1 marketing innovation and the 2 demos, as previously mentioned. We will get back to the KPIs later on during the writing session. If we can move ahead. As much as we want to cover today, this might be a lot of information. It has been a week of lots of sessions covering different topics. So we want to remind you that the most effective support is direct support, and we want to provide that for you as you prepare your proposals. So for our gold partners, there will be one-to-one meetings. For our silver partners with headquarters, with silver partners, the option is for one-to-one meetings with the innovation hubs. Network partners can have one-to-one remote meetings via B2Match, and the consortium support is only available until the evaluation starts, so until the call closes. Please, let's move to the next slide. So I'll give it to Albert to start talking about the general issues.
Yeah, thank you, Adriana. We will start by reviewing the general parts of the proposals. In previous applications, we've seen some issues that are coming among different organizations and that we would like you to avoid when preparing the proposals, like the project descriptions are not very clear, or that you're using jargon or inconsistent use of some terms. Also, in some cases, the outcome is not evident, or the word count, meaning the maximum character, is not fully utilized, or that previous applications are being somehow reused without tailoring the responses to the needs that we expect you to respond into our call. Also, in some cases, business focus is not evident and commercialization is an afterthought, and there are not a clear alignment between objectives, outputs, deliverables, and tasks. Also, information presented is in an incorrect order. There might also be national imbalances and partner makeups. And in some cases, cities were not involved sufficiently in defining, tailoring the solution. So this is an important point to keep in mind when preparing the proposal, engaging them since the very beginning. And also that there were some performative coverage of topics. If we can go to the next one, here you can see the 2 main red threads that we would like you to keep in mind to prepare a convincing proposal. The first one, starting through the key performance indicators, the KPIs that will let you define the exploitation activities that you will be doing in the project, leading to the commercial strategy that will also let you identify the financial sustainable mechanisms. The second one has to do with the partner's description that needs to be consistent, and in the work plan needs to be also very clear who will be doing what, making also a very clear link with the different deliverables that are going to be submitted, that are going to be delivered, and also with the output of your project. We'll be going through these 2 red threads throughout the webinar. If we can go to the next slide, we will be talking to the work plan now. So in the work plan, you need to present practical information about how you are going to execute your project. So taking the innovation excellence idea and shaping it into a specific outline of what, whom, how, when, and in what order. Here we've listed the topics that need to be covered in the work plan description. So what we request to you, we want to have a title for the work plan, also the lead partner of the project, defining the scope of the project, listing the different subtasks that are going to be included, also defining the outcome and impact, and the deliverables that are going to be included in the work plan as well. From previous applications, we've also seen some common issues that, again, we would like you to avoid, like, for example, inconsistencies in language or terminology across the different tasks. In some cases, we've seen work plans that are more like kind of bullet points rather than more detailed and logical task descriptions. In some cases, the definition provided is not very well defined. There's also an imbalance between the role of the partners in the different activities and then what is included in the budget. There are also some mismatches between what is outlined in the work plan, and there might be, in some occasions, missing references to deliverables in the work plan. Also here, just for you to know that the EIT Urban Mobility uses the word work plan. We know that in other funding programs, they might be using other words like work package descriptions, but we're using the work plan term here. So if we can go to the next slide, here you can see a less effective example of a work plan, something that we do not want to see in the proposals that we will be receiving. Here you see the tasks are not very well described, they are very vague, and also the role of the partners is not clear, since every partner is involved in all the activities. So what we would like to have instead, if we can go to the next slide, is having a more, and here you can see it in this effective example, is having a work plan with a very good description of all the different tasks, very well defined, including the duration of the task, also the links with the different deliverables, explaining what each partner is going to be doing, and having an order and a logical sequence in the description of the work plan. And if we can go to the next slide, I will now give the floor to Adriana to present the partner description.
Okay, thank you very much. So when you get to the section that provides information about the partner roles, skills, and expertise, please try to take this as an opportunity to convince the evaluators about why each partner has been invited to the project. So the partner description should outline how the partners are linked to the proposed project and detail their role, their contribution to the different activities and objectives in the project. Common issues we have found in the past is a very general description about the partner, or a description is missing, or it's very vague about what they are actually doing in the project. We recommend you to focus on the function, the role, to demonstrate why they were selected and are the right partner to participate. Ensure that all required project functionality is accounted for, so there should be a good balance and complementarity between partners when creating a consortium. Ensure that there is little to no unexplained overlaps between the partners. And so if there are two partners that have similar capabilities or that have similar, let's say, nature, explain why they are both in the consortium. In regards to cities, you know that a minimum of 2 cities should demonstrate the same solution. So please include them in the description too. So what we have found, if we can go to the less effective, that is not convincing and leaves evaluators wondering why these partners have been invited, is, for example, description of a university that it says it is a major university in the country. They are active in over 40 projects in Europe and 50 currently funded by the country federal Germany, and they are the location in city and have extensive academic track record. Indeed, this is what the university is, but it does not provide any information about what they are going to do in the innovation project. So how to do this better? If we go to the next slide, start by saying the university is responsible of exploring the collaborative dimension of an urban air pollution monitoring strategy and proposing innovative, effective ways of engaging citizens. And as you can see, the X university will be responsible for activities 2 and 5. This is very clear, and it will help evaluators when they go through the different parts of the proposal to link the work plan to the role of the of the different partners. Okay, if we can go to the next part of, let's say, that second red thread that has to do with the implementation and how sound your plan is. Deliverables. Think of deliverables as tangible or intangible goods or services produced from the project. They need to be building blocks from the for the project. So for the solution, they build up to deliver the KPI. They should track progress and ensure the mid-year documentation. They should be linked to the output, as I said, and be specific. What have we found in the past which has been perhaps problematic and not convincing for evaluators? A very long list of deliverables, many academic reports or work package reports that are not really relevant for EIT urban mobility to understand the progress of the project, Also, internal documents are considered deliverables if the project management has different documents that help with the alignment, with the coordination. These should not be included as deliverables. These are internal documents. Or sometimes the deliverables are listed without an insufficient description. So there is no reasoning behind the deliverable. And in some cases, what we have found is proposals with many deliverables for the last month. So it is not convincing that when the project is 12 months, there will be a large number of deliverables to be prepared by the end of the project. Try and avoid that situation. So we will show you an example of, before going into the less effective, I will give you a little bit of guidance about what the relationship between the deliverables that are prepared by the project and our response from EIT Urban Mobility. So this is, as you can say, a guidance of the type of deliverables that will be part of an innovation project. During the first 3 months, we expect you to focus on a technical plan, a business or product plan, the demonstration plan, so this for the 2 cities, and the commercialization agreement. By the point of the project, 6 months, there will be a remote visit plan and should be submitted. And by the end of the project, there will be the demonstration report and the in situ demonstration report, and the final report from the project. From our point of view, we want to assess the kickoff of the project to understand that the demonstration plan is going well and to sign off the commercialization agreement. For the midpoint of the project, we want to assess the remote test activity and provide a mid-year review. By the end, we will focus on getting back to you about the in situ demonstration and the closing assessment of the final report. So how not to do it? This slide shows just the last part of, let's say, an example application that had over 16 deliverables listed, including reports or plans, the city response and acceptance plans. What do we recommend will be more effective to list as deliverables? Focus on the Living Lab model plan. What is it going to be? Be specific in the description and say by when. The application integration and upgrade model. So say exactly what it is, the part, as I say, the building blocks. So in this case, for example, the SDK and the API part of the solution are being planned over there, etc., etc. So we can move to the next part of your implementation, let's say red thread, which are the KPIs. So just recap. In previous applications, we have found issues such as a long list of KPIs that are scattergun and unable to be tracked or measured, and many KPIs that don't have a link with the FSM or with the outcome of the project. We recommend that you select the core KPIs that are trackable. So in this year's call for proposals, that is very straightforward. And then that you link those KPIs to the responsible partners and contributors, and avoid overcommitting. So focus on the following table that has been provided before. There will be 2 mandatory KPIs that you will select in Plaza, and if they are relevant to your project, feel free to consider if you want to include 1 or more optional KPIs. So next slide. I'll give it back to Albert.
Yeah, thanks, Adriana. And okay, now we will be talking about the risk management and the contingency plan. So here we would like you to think about the different risks, potential risks that you will have in your project. You need to identify and evaluate them, and also include strategies to mitigate them. So how to write a winning risk management plan? As we were saying, first, you need to identify like the first barriers or main hurdles that your project is going to face, and include also risks that are related to the thematic of your proposal. For us, it is also important that you include risks regarding the business and commercial activities. And as I was mentioning before, include also a mitigation plan for each one of the risks identified. From the past, we've seen that in some cases, the risks that are included are a little bit limited or generic or not very well detailed. In some cases, consortia are more focused on external risks only and not targeting operational or governance risks. And also, in some cases, the mitigation strategies are not very strong or consistent. So if we can go to the next slide, here we have an example of how it shouldn't be. Okay, so as you can see here, we have three different titles with different categories. In some cases, the categories are not matching with the titles. The description are very poor and vague, and the mitigation activities as well. So if we go to the next slide here, you can see what the evaluators would like to see when going through your proposal. Okay, so for example, in the first one, which is an external risk, the title is the corona pandemic and the impact on the citizen engagement. And here we have a more detailed description of the risk. Highlighting, for example, that due to COVID-19, citizens are not using transport modes as usual, and also many of them do not travel because of the extension of working in the home office. And we have some clear mitigation activities that have been identified. So, for example, where needed, questions will be phrased in past format or current mobility behavior, is it clearly changed during the crisis and could affect the quality of the results. Cities should support by distributing and advertising the survey in order to ensure as much participants as possible. So this is how we would like you to work on the risk management, identifying the risks, describe them in a proper way, and also provide clear mitigation actions. If we can go to the next slide, we would be now talking about the city demonstrations. So first of all, and as a reminder, you know that the EIT Urban Mobility Innovation Call is focused on solutions, products, and services that have a TRL of 7 or above. So this means that there has to be a real demonstration, a real testing. Okay. So in the proposal, we would like you to clearly align how and where the demos will take place and in which way citizens can be beneficiaries of it, and also to identify the existing city resources and infrastructures that are going to be exploited and built upon during the demo. So again, some common issues that we've seen in the past. In some proposals, the description of how the product could be demonstrated was poor, vague, not very well detailed. City socioeconomic impact assessment without the preceding demo, which is not possible. Also, toolbox frameworks or reference models were included as outputs of the demos. Observer cities assess the demo work completed in one city, or it was a token engagement of other cities to meet core criteria. So this is again a less effective example, something that it's not going to be a good description of your demonstration. As you can see, we only have like 2 bullet points with very general descriptions. However, in the next one, here we have a more detailed definition of the demonstrations. For example, in the first paragraph, you can see that we are targeting the different components of what the demonstration should have. For example, the new logistic operational and business model, this is the what, will be demonstrated in city 1 and 2, this is the where, and each city has already identified its main site and has an active community association ready to cooperate, making the link with the end beneficiaries. Then in month 4, final planning for all demos will be completed and common success criteria defined. This is the when it's happening. And finally, the product and management application will be delivered by month 5, and initial testing will begin in month 6, limited to 2 or 3 local supermarkets. So this is a good way to define your demonstration. And now if we can go to the next slide, I will give the floor to Adriana to take the commercial strategy.
Okay, thank you very much. So here we're going back into the first thread where you need to start from your KPIs and start thinking about how to exploit those results and then develop a commercial strategy. What are the necessary components of a commercial strategy? The subject of the financial sustainability mechanism, so it's going to be a product, service, or patent, the type of the FSM, the responsible commercializing partner, and let's say the return on investment. Common issues we found in the past is poor articulation of what it's going to be delivered by the project. The lead commercialization partner is not clearly identified. That can happen in the call for proposals 2024. There is perhaps a misinterpretation, and applicants tend to think of commercialization strategies as just, let's say, marketing strategies. And there is no clear link between the KPIs and the FSM. In previous years, we received commercial strategies around reports, roadmaps, and toolkits, which is not convincing, and let's say it shouldn't be happening this year, as you have very clear defined FSM mechanisms. So let's take a look at a less effective example. So in some cases, the applicants start by saying how hard it will be to identify a marketing and commercial strategy, that it will have to pass through social media. Very vague and, let's say, non-committal. How to write a more effective commercial strategy? Let's take a look at the next slide. So in this case, for example, it says the project will provide that product that will be linked to the local microgrid with access, etc. It says cargo bikes, scooters, e-bikes, and will be able to use the charger. So it defines the potential users and market segments. It says the company, so that's the commercial partner, given being their existing client networks. It provides references why they have been chosen as a commercial partner for the innovation product. And then a reference to how it's going to be commercialized. The solution will be sold as A, a product pack, or B, a product and implementation service with an initial pricing based on comparable services of 20, 30K, or 75, 100 for the product plus implementation. I think this is a good reference for you to have in mind when you are working on this. Now, I want to remind you that if you have questions about the commercial strategy and the FSM, a dedicated webinar was delivered yesterday. The recording will be available. And not only that, there is a dedicated email that you can use to get in touch with us or have a dedicated session. So as we go into the next slide, which has to do with financial sustainability, I will give you a recap of the main elements, but I really invite you, if you are in doubt as you start developing your proposal and try to clarify how the FSM is going to be shaped, use the channels and the support mechanisms we have put into place. So the financial sustainability, we want you to describe the mechanism that will be applied and provide an estimated quantitative return to EIT urban mobility by different years. So ensure that the FSM is value for money, that it's linked to the KPIs, and that it's credible. Common issues we have found in the past, some applicants have selected FSM models without zero financial values in the tables. They have been FSMs allocated to an uninformed SME, which has in many cases caused tension within the consortium and with us, because there is no clarity for the commercial partner that they are the commercial partner. Then sometimes there were proposed product services were not sufficiently business focused innovation. So the, let's say, business approach was not really taught when developing the proposal, or the FSM was misunderstood. So we can go ahead to see an example of a less effective FSM table. In this case, what you say, it's let's say for an FSM in the general category, they say fee, a fixed fee plus a variable for the commercial lead, 30K, 30K. Let's see a more effective example. Okay. In this case, there is a narrative and there is a description of why the company J will be the commercial lead, takes, let's say, this role and responsibility and how it's going to be done. A fixed fee for sales enablement will be agreed based on the CRL, so the commercial readiness level identified. So as you can see, this description also shows that you are aware how EIT Urban Mobility will be working with you around the definition of the FSM and the commercial agreements. Okay, let's go to the next part of the proposal, which is the budget. So for innovation proposals, the budget section, if you were not in the Plaza webinar, I will just give you a refresher here. There will be different tables that we expect you to fill in with the budgets and the different cost lines for the implementation of your work plan. It should include a detailed estimate of all the costs that are likely to be incurred before the project is completed. And this refers to personnel salary, so this is staff efforts, travel and subsistence, goods and services and infrastructure, etc. How to write a winning budget. Describe in detail, use the boxes to convince the evaluators that you have a balanced budget and that the costs that you claim are really aligned with the work plan that you have described previously in the proposal. Ensure that no one single task has the bulk of the budget. When there is a work plan that allocates the budget to one task and leaves a very marginal, let's say, level of resources for the implementation of the other tasks, that will raise questions. Do not inflate budgets. It's very transparent for evaluators and for EIT Urban Mobility. Personnel subcontracting travel budget. Please split per task and per partner. This will facilitate and this will really convince evaluators that the money that you think will be spent is necessary for the implementation of specific tasks. What have we found in the past? Insufficient to no detail. Sometimes just even a bullet point in the text space that you have to provide an explanation of your budget needs. Or one project task taking, as I mentioned before, most of the resources and leaving the rest of the implementation a little bit poor, let's say, for being executed, and inflated budgets. So I'll show you perhaps, this is a less effective example. This work will ensure the city needs are understood, the workshops are conducted to map, and the total cost is 450. How will it be better? In the next slide, we show a little bit of description. Then you say this is about task, which will be the tailoring of a data collection platform. You give us a recap of what that task entails and why you need 102,000 euros to implement it. So this is very, let's say, helpful, and it will reinforce that you have a sound plan for the implementation of an innovation project. I think this is the last slide in our webinar. I know it's a lot of information and we have tried to curate the session so it's helpful and goes into, let's say, the main issues and the logic that you need to have in mind when putting your proposals together. So